My beloved child. Stop scrolling for a moment. Do not rush past this message as though it were meant for someone else. There is a reason your eyes have arrived here at this exact moment. Among countless voices competing for your attention, something quieter, deeper, and impossible to ignore has gently reached toward your spirit. What you are about to hear is a fictional inspirational story told in the voice of heaven, yet if it awakens hope inside you, do not dismiss that feeling. Some moments are remembered not because they explain everything, but because they remind the heart to keep believing. You have been asking questions that few people know about. Some of those questions were never spoken aloud. They remained hidden inside long nights, silent prayers, and quiet moments when you wondered whether your path was leading anywhere at all. You have searched for signs. You have looked behind closed doors. You have wondered why certain connections ended just when they seemed ready to bloom. You believed you were losing something precious, but what if those endings were actually gentle redirections? What if every unexpected turn was guiding you toward a destination you could not yet understand? Listen carefully. There is a place connected to your next chapter. Not merely a building. Not merely a city. Not merely a point on a map. A place carrying memories that have not yet happened. That is why your heart has felt strangely restless. That is why familiar surroundings sometimes feel too small. Something inside you has been sensing movement long before your eyes could see it. Do not mistake this feeling for confusion. Sometimes the soul recognizes tomorrow before the mind recognizes today. You have wondered why certain locations suddenly keep appearing before you. A name of a town. A road you never noticed before. A photograph of a distant place. A conversation mentioning somewhere unfamiliar. None of these moments seemed important on their own. Yet together they formed a quiet pattern, inviting your attention without demanding it. There is a mystery unfolding, and every ordinary day has been quietly preparing you for it. You expected heaven to speak through thunder. Instead, the whisper came through ordinary moments. You expected certainty. Instead, you received curiosity. You expected immediate answers. Instead, you were given little pieces that only make sense when viewed together. Your story is not late. It is unfolding. Every delay has protected something. Every unanswered prayer has been shaping someone. Every unexpected detour has been leading two separate journeys toward a meeting point neither traveler could fully imagine. You have called it coincidence. This story calls it preparation. There is another soul walking a path completely different from yours. That person has experienced their own disappointments, their own moments of wondering whether love still exists beyond disappointment and fear. They have questioned timing. They have questioned themselves. They have questioned whether the future could truly be different from the past. Neither journey has been wasted. Imagine two rivers beginning on opposite sides of distant mountains. They twist through valleys, forests, storms, and quiet fields. For a long time they never see one another. Yet every bend secretly moves them toward the same sea. So it is with this story. The surprise is not simply about a person. It is about a place. And the place carries more meaning than either of you currently understands. You may think the next important moment will arrive through dramatic signs. Yet sometimes life changes because someone chooses a different street, accepts an invitation they almost declined, visits family unexpectedly, takes a trip they nearly cancelled, or pauses in a location they intended only to pass through. One ordinary decision can quietly become the doorway to an extraordinary memory. Have you noticed how often your attention has been drawn somewhere unexpected? Perhaps you ignored it. Perhaps you laughed it away. Perhaps you told yourself it meant nothing. Yet your heart remembered. There are moments when the soul notices what logic cannot explain. This is one of those moments. Do not become obsessed with searching every location or expecting every stranger to fulfill a dream. Hope grows strongest when it is balanced with wisdom, patience, and kindness. Live your life fully where you are, even while remaining open to the beautiful surprises tomorrow may bring. Because sometimes the destination finds the traveler who has stopped chasing and simply learned to walk faithfully. The next few steps of your journey may appear ordinary. But ordinary paths often hide extraordinary intersections. And somewhere beyond what you can currently see, another story is unfolding at the very same time. The remarkable part is this. Neither of you realizes how close your paths are becoming. One conversation. One invitation. One unexpected change. One decision that seems almost insignificant. Sometimes an entire future quietly waits behind something that appears completely ordinary. You are not asked to force the future. You are invited to become ready for it. Continue becoming the person you hope someone else will be grateful to meet. Continue choosing forgiveness over bitterness. Continue choosing growth over regret. Continue believing that disappointment does not have the final word. Because hearts prepared by hope recognize one another differently than hearts controlled by fear. Still, there is one detail that has not yet been revealed. It is the detail everything else has been preparing for. The location itself is connected to something neither you nor the other person expects. It is not famous. It is not necessarily far away. Yet it carries a meaning that reaches far beyond geography. The place is connected to timing. And timing changes everything. You may believe you are going there for one reason. The other person may believe they are there for an entirely different reason. Yet this story suggests that sometimes two completely different purposes quietly become one unforgettable moment. Before that moment arrives, something small must happen. Very small. So small that most people would overlook it without another thought. But when it happens, you will remember this feeling. You will remember that your heart sensed movement before your eyes saw evidence. And that is where this first chapter must pause, because the smallest detail, the one that seems least important today, is about to become the beginning of everything. The silence that followed was not empty. It carried anticipation. Like the quiet moments before dawn when the world has not yet awakened, yet everything is already changing beneath the surface. In this fictional story, the unseen pieces continue moving, even when no one notices them. You have spent so much time searching for extraordinary signs that you almost overlooked the beauty of ordinary moments. Yet the greatest turning points rarely announce themselves with thunder. They arrive softly, wearing the appearance of an ordinary day. While you were wondering whether anything meaningful was happening, another journey was unfolding beyond your sight. Someone else was questioning their own direction. They stood at crossroads they never expected to face. Plans changed. Doors closed. New opportunities appeared where they had never thought to look. Neither path was random. Every delay created another possibility. Every unexpected change quietly redirected both journeys toward the same destination. If you could see the entire picture, you would understand why certain prayers seemed unanswered. Sometimes the answer is not, no. Sometimes it is simply, not yet. The location connected to this story has already begun calling to both of you in different ways. Perhaps one of you sees it as work. The other sees it as family. One believes it is only a temporary visit. The other believes it is nothing more than another ordinary stop. Yet neither realizes that the place itself is becoming the stage where two stories may finally cross. Do not hurry ahead of your own season. Every meaningful chapter requires preparation. Hope without patience becomes frustration. Patience without hope becomes discouragement. But when hope and patience walk together, they create the strength to keep moving even when the destination remains hidden. There is another detail still waiting to be uncovered. It is not the location alone that matters. It is what happens within moments of arriving there. A conversation that almost never takes place. A decision that almost goes the other way. A simple choice that seems too small to remember. And yet, years later, it becomes the story both people tell with amazement. Neither of them will realize how close they once came to missing that moment. That is why the next part of this story matters more than either traveler could imagine. For the surprise is no longer only about where the journey leads. It is about who arrives first, and what unexpected event begins only seconds before the other finally appears. Neither traveler realizes how much is about to change. The hours continue as though they are ordinary. The streets remain familiar. People go about their routines without noticing that one quiet moment is preparing to become unforgettable. In this fictional story, destiny never rushes. It unfolds with remarkable patience, placing every piece where it belongs before revealing the larger picture. The one you have been wondering about has also experienced seasons of uncertainty. There were moments when hope felt distant and every plan seemed to lead in a different direction. Yet those unexpected turns were not meaningless. They shaped compassion, resilience, and wisdom in ways comfort never could. Sometimes people must become the person they are meant to be before they are ready to recognize someone equally transformed. That is why the timing has mattered more than either of you could understand. The location itself is only part of the mystery. What truly matters is what both hearts will carry into that place. Old disappointments are beginning to lose their hold. Old fears no longer speak as loudly as they once did. Quiet confidence is taking their place, even if neither of you fully recognizes it yet. Soon there will be a decision that appears completely unrelated to this unfolding story. One message. One invitation. One unexpected change of schedule. One simple, yes, that could easily have been, no. It will seem insignificant in the moment. Days later, its importance will become impossible to ignore. There is beauty in the way ordinary choices can open extraordinary doors. Not because life is controlled by magic, but because hope often grows through simple acts of courage. Continue walking faithfully through today's responsibilities. Continue offering kindness where bitterness would be easier. Continue believing that your story is still being written. The next chapter does not belong to fear. It belongs to possibility. And as the distance between these two journeys quietly disappears, another hidden detail is moving into place. Neither traveler knows that someone else is about to play an unexpected role. A person neither of you has been paying attention to. Someone whose ordinary action will quietly connect two paths that have remained separate for far longer than either expected. When that moment arrives, everything that once looked like coincidence will begin to look very different. But before the connection can finally happen, one final obstacle must appear. It will seem like another delay. It will feel like another disappointment. For a brief moment, it may even appear that the opportunity has slipped away forever. Yet that apparent setback is hiding the most surprising turn of all. And the reason for that delay is the one truth that has not yet been revealed. The obstacle arrives so quietly that, at first, it feels like nothing more than another ordinary inconvenience. In this fictional story, it looks like a postponed plan, a changed schedule, a missed opportunity, or a road that suddenly seems closed. For a brief moment, disappointment whispers that perhaps this chapter was never meant to happen at all. But appearances have a way of hiding deeper truths. What seems like a delay is quietly becoming protection. What feels like a closed door is gently guiding both travelers away from paths that would never have brought lasting peace. There are moments in every journey when moving forward too quickly would cause the story to lose its meaning. This is one of those moments. While one traveler wonders whether to turn back, the other is taking a step they never imagined they would have the courage to take. Neither can see the connection. Not yet. The place that has been quietly waiting is beginning to change as well. New faces arrive. Familiar routines shift. Small details that once seemed permanent begin rearranging themselves in ways no one notices. The setting is preparing for a meeting that neither person has planned. If either traveler could see the full picture, they would understand why patience has been so important. Not because waiting is easy, but because timing shapes the meaning of every encounter. A meeting that happens too early may pass unnoticed. The same meeting at the right moment can change two lives forever. That is why every chapter before this one has mattered. Every lesson. Every farewell. Every unanswered question. Every unexpected beginning. Nothing has been wasted. Even the moments that felt empty have quietly been filling both hearts with the understanding they will one day need. Soon, there will be a familiar voice. Not the voice either traveler has been expecting. A simple conversation will begin without any awareness that it is opening the door to something much larger. One sentence will lead to another. A forgotten memory will suddenly return. A place once overlooked will become impossible to ignore. And in that instant, both journeys will move closer than ever before. Yet there is still one final piece hidden from view. It is the smallest piece of the entire story. So small that almost anyone would dismiss it. A single decision made in only a few seconds. A choice that seems ordinary. A step that feels routine. Yet years later, it will become the moment both travelers remember with quiet amazement, wondering how life could have been so different had that one decision gone another way. The next chapter begins exactly there, at the moment when an ordinary choice becomes the doorway to an extraordinary surprise, and the true meaning of the location is finally ready to be revealed. The ordinary choice is made without celebration. In this fictional story, there is no dramatic music, no brilliant light breaking through the clouds, and no voice announcing that history is about to change. Life simply continues, as it always has. A door opens. Someone steps inside. Another person almost leaves. For a single heartbeat, the timing hangs in perfect balance. Neither traveler understands how close they are to crossing paths. One pauses for a reason that seems almost meaningless. Perhaps they stop to help someone, glance at a familiar landmark, or linger for one extra moment instead of walking away. That tiny pause becomes the thread connecting two stories that have been unfolding separately for so long. It is remarkable how life can turn on moments that seem too small to remember. Not every life-changing event begins with certainty. Many begin with a simple choice to remain open, kind, and present. As the distance between both journeys disappears, something unexpected begins to happen. The place no longer feels ordinary. It carries a strange sense of familiarity, as though both travelers have somehow been there before, not in memory, but in hope. There is no fear in that feeling. Only peace. The kind of peace that quietly reminds the heart that some destinations are meaningful not because they are extraordinary, but because they become the setting for extraordinary memories. One traveler notices something first. It is not the other person. It is a detail that awakens a forgotten dream. A conversation once dismissed. A promise once abandoned. A hope that had nearly faded. In that instant, the heart begins to believe again. Across the same place, the other traveler experiences something similar. Without knowing why, they choose not to leave. They stay a little longer. That single decision changes everything. The story has never been about perfect timing created by human plans. It has always been about two people growing through separate seasons until they are finally ready to appreciate what they once would have overlooked. Every disappointment taught compassion. Every delay strengthened patience. Every unexpected turn prepared them to recognize the value of what was finally arriving. Now the distance between them is no longer measured in miles. It is measured in moments. Only a few remain. The air feels different. The ordinary becomes unforgettable. The next conversation has the power to begin a completely new chapter. Yet before the first words are spoken, one final surprise waits in silence. It is not hidden in the location itself. It is hidden in the reason both travelers were brought there. That reason has remained concealed since the very beginning of this story. And when it is finally revealed, both will realize that the greatest surprise was never the place they reached. It was the person they had each become before they arrived. The final moments unfold with a quietness that no one around them notices. In this fictional story, the world continues as it always has. Cars pass by. Conversations drift through the air. The clock keeps moving. Yet for two lives that have traveled through different seasons, everything is about to feel wonderfully different. Neither traveler understands that this ordinary day will become a memory revisited countless times. Years from now, they will look back and smile at the smallest details. The unexpected delay. The changed direction. The invitation that almost went unanswered. The decision to stay just a little longer. Every one of those moments seemed insignificant on its own. Together, they formed the path that brought two stories into the same place at the same time. One glance becomes the beginning of a conversation. One conversation becomes the beginning of trust. Trust slowly becomes friendship. Friendship grows through patience, honesty, and shared experiences. The future is not built in a single breathtaking moment. It is built through countless small choices to care, to listen, to encourage, and to remain faithful to what is good. That is the deeper surprise hidden within this story. The location was never magical. The place did not change two lives by itself. Instead, it became the setting where two prepared hearts finally had the opportunity to meet. Everything before that moment had been shaping character rather than simply arranging circumstances. The greatest gift was not arriving at the destination. It was arriving as wiser, kinder, stronger people than they had once been. Perhaps that is why every delay now begins to make sense. Every season of waiting carried a lesson. Every disappointment created room for new hope. Every unanswered question quietly pointed toward unexpected growth. Sometimes the road itself is the blessing because it transforms the traveler before they reach the destination. As this fictional journey comes to its close, remember that hope is strongest when it inspires action. Continue showing kindness even when no one notices. Continue growing even when progress feels slow. Continue believing that meaningful connections are built with patience, integrity, and genuine care. The future is shaped not only by where you go, but by who you choose to become each day. And if there is one message this story leaves behind, it is this. The most unforgettable destinations are not simply places on a map. They are the moments where courage replaces fear, hope overcomes doubt, and two lives are ready to begin a new chapter because they have first learned how to walk their own paths with grace. The story ends here, but the invitation remains the same. Keep your heart open. Keep your purpose clear. Keep moving forward. Sometimes the greatest surprise is not waiting somewhere far away. Sometimes it begins with the very next faithful step. Long after the moment had passed, both travelers found themselves returning to the same question. What if I had chosen differently? In this fictional story, the answer was never meant to create fear. It was meant to inspire gratitude. Gratitude for every lesson that seemed difficult at the time. Gratitude for every unexpected delay that quietly protected a future still hidden from view. Gratitude for every ordinary day that slowly shaped extraordinary character. The location that once seemed so important eventually became only the beginning. Its true purpose was never to impress. Its purpose was to remind both travelers that meaningful connections are not sustained by coincidence alone. They grow through trust, compassion, forgiveness, and the willingness to keep choosing one another even after the excitement of the first meeting fades. Looking back, they no longer remembered every detail of the place. They remembered the laughter, the conversations, the quiet moments, the courage it took to be honest, the hope that returned when they least expected it. That became the real destination. Not a city. Not a building. Not a single unforgettable day. But a life slowly built together through ordinary acts of love and faithfulness. And perhaps that is the final mystery this story wished to reveal. Many people spend their lives searching for the perfect place, believing that happiness is hidden somewhere beyond the horizon. Yet the greatest discoveries are often made when people arrive with open hearts, willing to grow wherever life invites them. The location opened the door. Character carried them through it. As the years passed, both travelers realized something they could never have understood at the beginning. The surprise was never waiting for them. They were becoming the surprise in each other's lives. The kindness one offered became the healing the other needed. The strength one developed became the encouragement the other had been praying for. The patience learned through difficult seasons became the foundation of lasting trust. No journey had been wasted. No lesson had been meaningless. Every chapter had quietly prepared the next. And so this fictional tale comes to its gentle close with a simple reminder. Walk forward with hope. Choose kindness when it is difficult. Remain patient when answers seem delayed. Allow every season to shape you into someone who brings light wherever you go. For sometimes the most beautiful destinations are not found on any map at all. They are discovered in the lives we help transform, and in the person we become along the way.